I'm not really dreaming of a house or a flat. I just want a roof over my head.
I would like to buy my own house. I don't want to get given like a house from the department because I want to be in control and I don't want like to go through all I want it in my own time frame and I don't want to be told when to like move in and stuff and what to do with it and everything.
Well, when I'm 16, I want to move back with my family if they let me. And then after that, I want my starter flat, like if they're willing to give me one.
If I rent privately, I can have control over the area I want to live in, who I live next to, and like what I want to do with the house.
When I get my starter flat, I want to put wallpaper and stuff on it and make it homely like.
What I'm looking forward to is having my own rules and not having to go by anybody else's rules, and then everybody else has to go by my rules. So I feel like a leader.
I like the idea of living by myself because I'll have loads of peace and be able to do my own things, not get told what to do by other people. Eat what I want when I want. Have people in sometimes.
I think the difficulties if when I move in with by myself is the loneliness. That's going to be hard because I'm quite a social person. I like people around me, and I think the taxis and like knowing how to change the gas meter and stuff like that's going to be really hard.
If I was going for a flat share, I would want to know the people before actually moving in with them.
I think I would flat share with my friends because they're quite cool people. Just beginning to like them, you know. I'm gonna get about 5 dogs, maybe more, you know. I'm allergic to cats, so I'm not allowed them. And I might get about 20 hamsters. Yeah. That'll keep me not as alone as I would be on by myself. So.
Supported accommodation is where I had my own flat, but it was a courtyard, and across the courtyard there was a house, and that's where the staff was. There was a staff member on from 10 in the morning to 6, and then from 10 at night to 6 in the morning. It was quite good. The night staff members always used to come over and have a chat with you, which I enjoyed. And they used to come and do flat checks once a week to make sure you were keeping your house clean and stuff like that. I didn't want to stay there very long because there was a lot of rules. Like, you were only allowed 2 visitors at once, and they had to leave by 11 at night, and you could only have a person stay over once, and you could only stay out twice, and you couldn't have people in your house under 16 unless they were a family member. And the time that I was there, the flat across from me had 4 different people in it because they all had been told to leave. They were kicked out for not listening to the rules. One of them had people climbing in his window, and to get to his window they were walking past my window, and I was getting woken up during the night with them all shouting and screaming and that, and I actually thought I was going to die in night. The noise was that bad.
I chose to leave foster care when I was 17, and when I left I stayed with my brother for 2 months, and then after that I was put into some sort of like supported flat, so I had to pay £20 a week and the council would pay my rent for me, but that fell through because they put me in a place that was residented with old people, and basically the old people didn't like having a young person there, and I was 17 and I did kind of have a lot of parties and a lot of people up, but I don't think that was a good idea putting me in that place.
I was living in a mother and baby placement in Glasgow after I had my son. Then I moved back through to East Lothian after 4 months, and I got my own house, which was brilliant at the time. I really enjoyed it.
I've been living in my own flat in Musselburgh for nearly 2 years now, and I got put there when I left my supported accommodation that was also in Musselburgh, and I was there for a year, and then before that I was in foster care.
Before I stayed here I was living in a B&B of the Castle Hotel in Dunbar, just at the end of the high street. Yeah, I stayed there for about 9 months before I actually got offered anything.
I've lived in the house that I'm in for 2 years because I got moved from old one.
The best bits are the dog. He's cute, but he stinks.
And my bedroom. That's it.
I started to notice problems with it when my wee one was about 6 months old, and then it's like got loads of problems with damp and mould and sewage water under the floors, and just, I never really got much help with it from anybody.
I was offered a place in Haddington, but because of my job and the fact that I don't drive and all my friends are out here, like, I didn't think it would be fair for me to go and move and then have to spend my own money to come back down to Dunbar when I wrote on the housing application form that I only wanted to be situated in a Dunbar town or in Dunbar itself.
It was just horrendous for like just having a newborn as well. I was back and forward and in B&Bs, and I was in a B&B in the Pans for 2 weeks, and I had no heating in it when I had my baby there, and it was like teenagers in the room next to me, and they were in and out having parties, and it was just horrendous having to lock the wee one in the room where I ran through to make bottles, and it just wasn't clean, so I couldn't even like bath them there. The tumble dryer and washing machine didn't work, so I had to be coming back up to Trinent all the time to wash clothes at my nana's.
It was important for me to be in Dunbar because I don't really have like much contact with my family, or I didn't at the time. And my friends are like my rock basically, like they're the thing that keeps me going. To be taken away from that, it would have been pretty catastrophic for me.
I wasn't allowed back in my house at this point because of all the like damage in it. So it was unsafe for me to be in. I had my keys took off me by the council, so I couldn't get in for my stuff unless they were there to come and like assist with that. And then I got put back in my house for a wee while. Apparently everything was sorted, and then I found other stuff wrong with it, like to do with the same situation, and I got put back in another 3-bedroom flat in Trinent, but that was like costing me so much. It was about £60 a week in gas and the same in electricity, which I just couldn't afford. There was also, I could only use 1 bedroom in the flat because the rest of it was filled with damp, and it was just like disgusting. Like, it was horrible. The neighbours were horrible to me. They kept shutting the gate when I was going in and out with the pram and stuff. It was just horrendous.
I didn't have any access to like a washing machine at the B&B. I had a microwave to do my meals, and the door was unlocked, so anybody that could get access to the key could get into my room and do whatever they wanted to. I was told that I would be there for 2 weeks or something, and then those 2 weeks would pass, and then it'd be in a couple of months, and then it got to the end of September, and then it just every time I spoke to somebody else, I was told that I would be going into a different place, and it never happened. I was promised a flat that I never got, and eventually I've got this place, but it took so long. It was quite a long process.
Since I moved back into my house, there was an issue with the walls, and I was actually told that I was to strip all the wallpaper myself, and I didn't have a clue where to start with that, and I never even had like a steamer to take it off or scrapers to scrape it off or anything, and they'd given me a short period of time to do it and says that they basically weren't willing to help with it. So I actually contacted Sophie, and Sophie came along to a meeting at the council with me, because they just weren't taking me seriously at all. But eventually it all got done, and the situation was sorted, the work was carried out, and that was fixed. With a lot of like battle, but it got fixed eventually.
I was put in a B&B because there was a shortage of property in Dunbar, and there's basically nowhere for me to go, and they didn't have the accommodation for me at the time.
And then eventually I got back into my own house again, and then I was out. I got told that I had to leave after noticing other problems again. I actually lifted my own floorboards because I was told by the neighbours there was water under it, and there was when I lifted them, so the council had to come back out. I was moved into a decant house for, I was told at the time it would be 3 weeks. It turned out to actually be 9 months later that I got back into my house, and eventually everything was sorted. I still had a few problems here and there with it, but I'm still in there now, and it's levelled out. It's much better. I'm settled in my wee one, and he's now 6. I actually remember at one point that when I was being moved in and out of my house and there was issues with the sewage water under the floor, that they'd actually, my carpets were all like mouldy and horrible, and they'd actually folded them up instead of rolling them, and my wee one was just crawling at this stage, and they'd actually says to me that they would just clean the carpets and put them back down. I was like, I'm not happy with that. I don't want the carpets back in my house. My son isn't crawling about on them. There'll be so many germs on them. He's like putting his hands in his mouth and things, and I just wasn't happy with that. And it actually took me going to my auntie coming and taking pictures of the carpets and stuff. She works in a lawyer's office, and getting it all done through her office and sending the pictures to the council for them actually to take it serious and me actually do them actually buy me a new carpet.
At the time, I think I would have preferred to have been put in some sort of sheltered housing or some sort of supported accommodation, because I didn't really feel like I had anything, like nobody supported me at the time, and I was a bit clueless when it came to application forms because I was 17 and I had no idea what I was doing. Basically had to go to the doctors, and I got my doctor, my actual GP, to write a letter to the head of social work and the head of housing. I had to get my counsellor to write to the head of social work and to the head of housing again, and I had to get head of citizens advice to write to the both of them as well. And I was going to go forward and write to my local MP, but I didn't, because I was offered a flat before I got the opportunity to.
The challenges of having my own house are paying my bills, especially setting up direct debits and stuff like that. I found that quite hard. I didn't know how to do direct debits or anything at first, but I phoned my social worker and she told me.
When I got my own house, some of the difficulties were I was told I wasn't allowed anybody to stay overnight or anything, particularly my mum and my dad, because I think if I'd let them stay, I would have just had them there all the time. But I was told that I wasn't, so I felt quite lonely. It just been me and the wee one, but I'm just being like, he was only 4 months old when I got my house, so it was like really new to having a baby, and like it was quite a lot of weight on my shoulders really, having to like get up during the night and being worried would I actually hear him on my own, when I was used to having like the support of like my foster carer being there if I needed her, like she would hear him, and I was just like, that was really scary for me, but I was fine. It was just, it would have been nice to have been allowed somebody there now and then for that.
I did find much things difficult, more like things that I just didn't want to do, like cooking. But I always end up cooking too much, so it just ends up all going in the bin. So it'd be quite nice if somebody could cook for me.
I also found it quite difficult with paying like bills, and I didn't know really how to pay TV licence, and that you were to pay council tax and how much it all was, and it was explained to me that you had to pay these things but not exactly how to pay them and how much you needed to pay and when, and really what half it was for. Like, do you think you've got to tell you can watch it? You didn't really think about paying for it after you've bought it, so that was quite a lot of the difficulties. And then like getting listened to while all the issues were going on, that was quite a big issue.
Keeping my garden clean's quite difficult because I've not got money to spend on getting a lawnmower or anything that I can use to keep it clean. So right now it's like a jungle. I've not had difficulties partly because of the support I've received, and also because I've had experience in doing stuff like that before.
In my garden, that's quite a big issue, because the council actually told me that they were only responsible for doing the path for your gate to your front door round to your back door, which wasn't very good after it had been flooded with sewage water, because it just wasn't safe for my wee one, and he fell off the walls and hurt himself, and they put like walls in that had sharp edges, and it was just horrendous. But I'm glad that it's getting there now, and my dad's got to fix my garden while I'm on holiday, so that's fine.
I got this experience when I was living with my mum. I took over all the household duties before I went into foster care. So I did all the cooking, the cleaning, going and paying all the bills, going up and getting the shopping. So, taking the bins out. I never done the garden though.
If I had the power, I think there should be a lot more like supported accommodation all over East Lothian. Like, I don't think there's enough I don't think it's acceptable to just stick us in a hotel room and forget about us. I think if we were all together, then we would all benefit from each other. We would be all in the same boat and we could all support each other, and then it's surely cost effective to have us all in the one place instead of renting out loads of different rooms. Shared accommodation is what I would suggest. I think that would be a great idea, especially for people as young as me, because not everybody is as mature as what I am, and they don't want to be in their own flat, but if they're put in a shared accommodation, at least then they've got some sort of independence, but they've also got a little bit of help, bouncing off each other, supporting each other. I think people that have been care experienced, we're used to being like dotted about all the time, so it's all that uncertainty all the time. It's this sort of like insecurity that we have. We don't know where we're going to end up, and it's something that we've been faced with for basically all our lives. And to keep getting that thrown at us, it's not going to get us like guided into adulthood pretty well. I think we do need to have that we need to be told where we're going, and it needs to be accurate, and it can't just be false promises that it's been. I think it needs to change.
During like when everything was happening in my house, I actually attended a young mums group, and Lisa came along and was telling us about the Champions Board and asking us if we'd like to be involved and stuff like that. And I started speaking to her about my housing situation, and she recommended me to get in contact with Sophie, which I did, and Sophie really helped me a lot with my house, and she's just brilliant. I joined the Champions Board, and I met up with Sophie, and Sophie was able to help me a lot with my house. She actually used the Champions Board forum and got in contact with people over the phone through the house in, which got me taken serious a bit better, because they just weren't listening to me at all. They weren't taking anything that I was saying to them serious. They were just basically hearing my age or hearing that I had a child at my age, and just I felt like they were just like weren't understanding my situation at all, and they were just thinking, oh, it's just a wee lassie on the phone, just it doesn't matter, I didn't need to take it serious, she's not going to take it any further. So it took a lot of fighting, and Sophie definitely helped and came to the meetings and stuff with me and was on the phone every time like I needed their support, and she was the only one that was actually able to actually get them to actually listen to what I was saying and get my point across. And after that they actually started taking me a lot more serious, and everything that I says was registered basically.
Before I moved in here, I was living in supported accommodation, just at the back of the Brunton Theatre. And while I was living in there, I did my housing application form. And you get to specify which areas you would prefer to live in. And one my top area was Musselburgh. So I was pretty lucky when I got offered a house in Musselburgh. And this was the first house I was offered in the first house. I just took it right away. I think it's the look of it, because it looks pretty nice from the outside. And it's quite a big one-bedroomed flat, especially the living room. The living room's huge. I moved into here almost 2 years ago. When I first moved in, the carpets had been put down for me moving in, because when I came to visit it, there was nothing at all. Some of the colours were off the walls, and I think there was a hole in one of the walls, but I can't remember which one. But by the time I'd moved in, they'd painted everything and they'd put carpets down, and they'd put in some furniture, like couches and a dining table, not a dining table, a coffee table, a TV unit. There was a bed, some drawers. They gave me microwave, cooker, white goods, and they also gave me plates and cutlery and stuff like that. But because I'm a care leaver, I was offered my leaving care grant, so I used that to buy my own furniture and my own cutlery and stuff like that. So most of the other stuff I gave away. Like the couches I gave to my granny, because she gave me this one. So I gave her those couches until she got a new one.